I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Here's where I would just give a little pushback. The thing is that I think what you're saying applies in a time where there's a universal idea of what the institution is, right? So there was a time where when you mentioned marriage, everyone knew what that meant. That meant that the man was working, that meant that the wife was at home, that meant that the children were raised at home, that meant that the children stayed at home until they got married, right? Today, that's not, everybody's marriage isn't even the same. Married people don't even agree on what marriage is today. So we're trying to get people on one accord with an institution that the people who are in the institution don't even agree on. Is the husband the breadwinner? Is the woman supposed to be the breadwinner? Before it was clear cut because women didn't work, men worked. So we knew that for a marriage to work, the man had to provide, the woman had to take care of the domestic things, right? But that's not the world we live in now. The women are working, in often cases making more money than the men. So who works? Who takes care of the kids? The kids are now at school. The kids are now leaving the house at 18 to go to college. You're not even raising them. So where's this legacy that we're marrying for to buy land and pass down to the children? The children half the time don't even be around their parents once they leave. So we're having these conversations about community, which conceptually is very appealing and it sounds good, but this community doesn't really exist. There is no marriage community. Married people are not on one accord, when it comes down to religion, when it comes to how they organize their relationships, when it comes down to who's paying the bills, when it comes down whether the woman should submit or not, when it comes down to who should be cooking the meals. There is literally no blueprint. There is no clear guideline or instruction for anybody. So in modern times, how is a marriage any different from a relationship? Because everybody's defining it for themselves. And that's why I was saying what I was saying before. We got to address the goal, which is, what's the goal of the relationship? It doesn't matter the format anymore because everybody's deciding for themselves. There is no standard. And I just feel like, again, we're being regressive by constantly pushing for people to conform to a standard that no longer exists.
We gotta have structure, bro. I hear what you're saying, and I agree. A lot of people have taken different routes of marriage, but there's still some type of structure to it. That was one of the words that I can't remember who said it. Luis, if you can back me up on it. Somebody said structure. Men bring structure. Mm-hmm. So if men are expected to bring structure, that has to look some type of way, however it plays out in that household. But in some way, shape, or form, it's still going to be based on that blueprint. The man, unless it's a punk, a sissy, the man is still going to be the protector. You know what I'm saying? The mother, the wife is still going to be the nurturer. Regardless, the man is still expected to teach the son how to be a man. So I get what you're saying, but it still has to be a structure, because if there's no structure, then everything will fall apart. And that is why we have the confusion now, because there's no structure. Everybody is, and I wouldn't say everybody, the loud majority are the ones that are doing what you're saying, what you're speaking on. But I personally know quite a few married couples that still go by the original blueprint. It may look a little different in order for it to work in their house, but it's still that same blueprint. And I think when we push and stray away from people being comfortable enough to literally just completely dismissing it, then that's where all of this chaos and nothing aligning happens, because who's holding up the standard? If we're not enforcing the standard and saying, no, you can do this, but hey, look, this is what we're doing here. And I think the more that we have people say that and stand on that, then that'll be a greater impact on everyone. But when we say, oh no, it's cool. Oh no, you want to date a blow up doll? Shit, hey man, go ahead, do your thing. yeah, you can do that, but that's not normal. You know what I'm saying?
Viz, I want to kind of go back for 2 seconds and kind of add something. We need to have more multi-generational living, right? I think what we tend to see more often is, man and wife, get married, they have kids, and then they move out away from family members, community, etc. Now they live in this remote area, just them and the kids, no support group, no family, no no close supportive loved ones, right? Where you live on like a compound living or
Hmm.
a close knit
Community.
community. Like I just read an article this morning, when I got into the office, and it was talking about that. It was talking about that we don't have multi generational living. Your grandparents living in the same home or in the same attached home, right next door to your married parents, right? You have kids who are being
Like the elementary.
babysat with their grandparents or loved ones, right? But instead they're being dropped off at daycare here, daycare over there, paying $1,500 a week. I just had a conversation with that with one of my contractors today. They're like, my sister pays $1,500 a week. A week. You know how much that adds up into a month? Like,
Yep.
that's a whole mortgage. And I'd much rather people put that into their kids' trust fund or a vehicle that they can give to their child once they become of age, right? It's just a backwards way of thinking in terms of
Hmm.
like group economics and in close niche living. We gotta kind of entertain the idea of multi generational living.
That's a great point, Luis, because I was actually reading something about the wealth that's in Indian families. And they're saying that one of the reasons why Indian families have so much wealth in America is because they have multi-generational living. When their kids get married, they often live in the same house or they extend the house. Like I live in New York. If you drive through Queens, all of the big, elaborate mansion looking houses is all Indian families because when they get married, they pool their wealth, make the house bigger, they buy the house next door, and they buy out the whole neighborhood, and to the point where they have that generational wealth that they could pass down. The kids don't grow up to go get a job and go pay somebody's rent or pay somebody else's mortgage. They bring that money right back to the home, and the family continues to grow exponentially. So when it comes to structure, I think that's a perfect example of something that could provide more structure for children and for communities.